So what does it mean when we say dream recovery? Or I guess in this case, more specifically, recovering your lucid dreams, although this does work for non-lucid dreams as well. And this is simply when you return back to the same or at least a very similar dream after waking. So typically this would be done in the same night, I would imagine, most of the time, where you wake up out of a dream, you want to go back to it, or sometimes you don't want to go back to it, like nightmares, but I'll explain that in a little bit. You want to go back to the dream, and then upon falling back asleep, you can re-enter the same dream, or at least, a very similar dream in theme and setting. But this can also be done for like multiple nights in a row after the initial night, which is something that's never really crossed my mind to try. But James gives a cool example about how he pulled it off for like a week straight, and then he just would use that same jumping off point to have lucid dreams for the following week. Anyway, he writes, earlier we discussed the importance of tactile sensations in stabilizing lucid dreams. When it comes to recovering dreams, all the sensations associated with the dream become just as important. The sensory input and physical feelings associated with the dream can serve as a sort of bookmark that holds its place. So, like, recovering dreams is something that I've just naturally done my whole life. And most of the time, at least when I was younger, it would happen with like bad dreams or nightmares, where like I would be having some kind of bad dream, I'd wake up out of it, and then not on purpose, but just because as I'm going back to sleep, I'm still feeling all the negative sensations from the dream. When I'd fall back asleep, I would enter back into the same dream, and it would always suck. And like that's what happens to me nowadays. I mean, it's even to the point to where if I think that might happen, or if I've woken up several times, falling back asleep, and the same dream will continue, is I'll just get up and stay up. I'll go use the bathroom, stay awake for a little while, try to shake my head around, clear some of those cobwebs and feelings out of my head, and then go back to sleep. And most of the time that would work at having me not return back to the same, the same dream. Although a lot of times, if I'm having bad dreams earlier on the night, I'll have kind of negative dreams for the whole rest of the night as well. But then this also works for, more positive type dreams as well. Just, focus on some of the more, better feeling, memorable types of sensations from that dream as you're falling back asleep, and that can help you get back to it. The other main approach that I like to use when trying to return back to the same dreams is, of course, sitting in the feels of it, but then I'll just replay the dream back in my head, mostly as a way just for me to commit it to memory, because I don't like journaling in the middle of the night. Then as I'm just continually replaying this dream back over and over in my head as I fall back asleep, when I fall back asleep, pretty often it can have me returning back to, the same or a very similar dream. What else does he have in here? Oh, he also talks about how putting like a sort of phrase along to the dream, kind of like like the mild technique, or you could even, if you are lucid ahead of time, you could like name the dream or name some part of the dream, and then as you're falling asleep, you can use that name or a phrase to kind of help you get back to a very similar theme and setting. And then when it comes to his example about how we return back to the same dream for like a week and used it as a way for him to get lucid, he was talking about how he was lucid in a dream and he was like on some boat in some awesome ocean island area, right? And then he was lying on top of the boat and could feel like the sun rays hitting him, could feel his weight against the boat, and he was lucid at this point. And so what he did is he used the physical sensations of the sun, how he was feeling, the visuals of it, his weight, the weight of his body on the boat. He would use that as his anchor point to go ahead and return back to the same dream that night. And then he did the same thing for like a whole week afterwards. This is kind of relating to that. This stressed another important trait of dream recovery. Dreams are best recovered when the memory of the dream is vivid and can be experienced easily through recollection, right? So I think that's why for me it works really well the same night, but I don't know if it would work too well for me like, following nights for like a week after that. And then it talks about a couple like lucid dream techniques that I've never even heard of, but I actually pretty much use this exact technique myself, just kind of stumbled into it on my own. So this is called the DEILD technique. So dream exit induced lucid dreaming, also called dream chaining. So the technique is attempted when the dreamer wakes up naturally in the night, often from an ordinary dream. When waking, the dreamer intentionally remains completely still and employs the rest of the wild process with their chosen point of focus. So this works for me, although most of the time, if I'm really going for something, what I'll do is I'll put just a random alarm generator on my phone to purposely wake me up at some random point in the night, hopefully be coming out of a dream, turn that alarm off, and then basically replay the dream back in my head, trying to memorize it, sit in the feelings of it, and that can help you get back to a very similar dream while being lucidly aware. And then to close it out, he talks about, this is kind of more of like a dream incubation technique, but he writes, if there is a certain person you would like to dream about, simply repeating their name over and over again until you fall asleep is incredibly effective. So I have used that technique myself in the past and it has worked. But recently I just tried using it and it totally didn't work. So for the past month, me and one of the people in the community, we were trying to have a shared dreaming experience, right? And so we pretty much failed the whole way through. The first week we were trying, I kind of had almost a hit, and we're only trying like 1 day a week, so we really only tried like 4 times, which honestly just isn't enough cracks at it. But you know, maybe I'll make a separate video on kind of how that experiment went and some of the ways I think I could have improved it on my end, because like she's one of these lucky people who are lucid like almost every single night, sometimes multiple dreams a night. So she was getting lucid, but I only ended up getting lucid like 1 time out of that month we were trying. But on the last day, because we weren't having really any success, we're talking about using, you know, basically repeating each other's names throughout the day, trying to imagine and intend to meet up in our dreams that night. That as we're falling asleep, we're going to repeat each other's names as we fell asleep. Didn't work. But then again, I think honestly, at least on my end, because, you know, I wasn't getting lucid all that often during this experiment, is, you know, I have to try it more than once. So, yeah, perhaps I'll make another video and kind of talk about how that experiment went and where I think I messed up on it. But anyway, that will wrap it up. Until the next video, keep the lucid dreaming practice legit.